Hello and welcome back to the Tuesday Checklist, the show about chatting games with your friends, but that is also a big lie because it actually comes out on a Wednesday. Speaking of lies, we're all guilty of a few video game fibs, aren't we? I beat that boss first time, it was the lag, I'm only playing one more game and then definitely going to bed. But sometimes we tell such big fat porkies we have to keep them buried for years. Until now. It's time to come clean as we reveal the biggest video game lies we've ever told. First to be strapped into our imaginary polygraph, it's Ash.
So I'm going to start because mine's a nice lie. It's basically,
There's no such thing as a nice
the truth.
lie.
The truth is, I lied to myself about being competitive for years until recently I was like, yes, actually, I am quite competitive. So I was thinking about what lies I've told myself in gaming. And the one that I think I've stuck to vehemently is that, I don't like online gaming or doing multiplayer games. I've always tell everyone that I hate it, that I'm really against it. I love single player stuff, I'm all about the story and all that sort of thing. And I think I've stuck to it so much that I convince myself every time I've played one, I've been like, no, this isn't for me. I am a lone wolf who sits with her games and enjoys them for the story only. And then, sorry, I laughed at my own voice. And then...
Is that your lying voice?
Oh, hello,
Well,
I'm telling a lie now. Yes. That's how I speak to myself in my head. When I'm on my own in my flat with my single player games, that's how I speak. But yeah, and it's kind of, I guess it's more of a gaming epiphany than a true lie, but I've stuck to it with my guns with it for ages, spouted it as a personality trait. And since joining PlayStation Access and playing so many online games with you guys, genuinely I've realised that I'm gonna blush. I've realised that that is just it's not true. It's not true about myself. I really like it. It's all about the games you play and the people you play with, and it doesn't matter the horrible online lobbies full of swearers. If you have the right people, then they're really, really good, and I really like them, and I've been more interested in doing the online games since. Did you hear that big crash?
Yes. Yeah, I heard it. Yeah. Came through. That's the online lobbies coming to get you. Do you know, this is an interesting one because when you first arrived at PlayStation Access, and it was quite shortly before Christmas, and we were doing all the Christmas Let's Plays, and you were kind of like, oh, I don't know. And then when you'd get in, you'd be like, no. And we were all like, wow. I wonder if she's whether she knows. And it turned out it was
Rosie and Bishy Bashy is one of my favourite.
No, that's my greatest shame. That was what did it. That was the spark. I was like, you keep saying you hate online games, and then you play Bishy Bashy with Rosie, and you're there peasant. I was.
I'm the math master. I'm the math master.
I could see the joy in your face, Ash, as you were winning.
It's been one of my favourite things as well. It's been one of my favourite things. Seeing other people lose their minds playing against each other on the channel. It's no longer just me and Dave and Rob. Thank God. It happens to the best of us.
I think fully my lie to myself as being thinking I know who I am when it comes to games, and it's been yes, I'm a very calm single player gamer who's not competitive, and then since working here I've had the best time playing all sorts of games and doing all sorts of stuff and doing more online multiplayer stuff and being oh gosh, I am a gremlin and I'm gonna have to accept the truth of that. So it's wholesome because I like you guys, but yeah, you can tell me all your dark secrets with your lies now.
So I'd like to go next just because I feel like we're going to maybe get more escalating lies as we go along. And mine isn't that bad, really.
What are you saying? What are you suggesting?
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Well, Rosie, I couldn't guess with you, but I'm expecting something truly awful from Rob. That's that's my hope anyway. just knowing Rob. So mine is as people might know from watching the channel, especially in the early days, I was always a bit of a first-person shooter player, and I've always considered myself that. I played Doom, I played loads of GoldenEye, I played a leading shooter on a different platform. That was all building up to the stuff that I love on
GoldenEye and a leading shooter on a different platform.
Yeah, I feel like I'm allowed to say GoldenEye in a different way. They don't make that anymore. And so I'm going to take you back to small Nath. Small Nath was smaller than anyone, or even smaller than Rosie and Ash are now. I was 23 years old when I got my first job in the games industry, and I was a staff writer on official PlayStation 2 magazine. And it was a wonderful time for me. I moved to a new city, and I took this job which I was really excited about. And I was more of a sort of a writer than I was like into games that we are now. I wasn't like an expert in loads of games, but I did like shooters, and I was so excited just to meet everyone on the team. There was the team was really big. I think it was about 12 people on the team, and at lunchtime every day, everybody played a game together. It was like a huge thing, like a huge social thing, and I was like massively worried about like fitting in. I was like pretending to be like the best version of myself every day. I'd come in and have loads of ideas. I'd love to write some captions, thanks everyone. Of course I'd like to do some grabbing for you, that'd be perfect, no worries at all. Making tea, just being the best, and obviously like looking for any opportunity to impress people or make friends or whatever. So I liked football a bit. As soon as I joined the magazine, I love football. I talk about football all the time. Pez is brilliant, isn't it? Football, lads, let's go. There was a lot of just fitting in and just like enjoying my new job. And the game which was the biggest game at the time was Timesplitters 2. And that's what they played every lunchtime. They'd have a multiplayer, split-screen multiplayer game of Timesplitters 2. And, I was a first-person shooter person. I hadn't played Timesplitters 2, so I thought, well, this is perfect, because I'm quite good at shooters. I could impress my new colleagues by playing this game, and I'm sure I'll get, I'll catch up with everyone. I can see I spent a few days like looking at like who the best players were, and the best player was the editor-in-chief of the magazine, and his name, or like he'd have to put it in every day because you didn't have like a PSN ID like you do now, and he always called himself Killer Dog with an A, Killer Dog, which is very similar to the Killer Dog, but like Killer Dog instead of killer. Killer. When you spell it, it's not as cool, Rob. Come on, you're ruining this.
It sounds like he kills dogs.
Kill a dog.
Well, look,
my name is Kill a Dog.
He didn't kill dogs, but he was really good. Killer Dog. And he was just the best, obviously. And that, like, you're kind of like, well, if I can challenge the boss, then this is going to be amazing. This would be like, I could really, stake out some social ground for myself here, really make some waves at work. This is going to be brilliant.
Or get yourself fired.
So I started playing Timesplitters 2, and everyone was like, "How what's going on? Yeah, what do you think of it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm learning. I'm getting there. Oh, Timesplitters 2, I like." And everyone's just like, "Timesplitters, isn't Timesplitters brilliant? Love Timesplitters, don't it? Isn't it brilliant? Oh, brilliant. Yeah, it's the best shooter on PlayStation 2, isn't it? I hate Timesplitters 2. I've always hated Timesplitters. I never got good at it. It's rubbish. It's rubbish to this day. It's rubbish.
It's all right.
People now talk about Timesplitters is coming back. I hate it.
I
hate it.
I
and
love
every day
Timesplitters too.
Every day I'd go in and be like, "Do you want to play Timesplitters 2, Nate?" "Oh yeah, I love Timesplitters 2. Let me play please, everyone. Let me be your friend. Oh, I'll get good at it soon, sir." Oh, like just and when you're aiming, the thing moves a little bit before the rest of the screen moves. It's like always been the worst shooter. I don't understand why people like it. I hate it. If I could go back in time now, I'd tell them all that I hate it. I hate Timesplitters 2. That's it. That's my lie. And that's I think that's the first time publicly I've said I hate Timesplitters 2.
Oh,
but
you're going to get a lot of people in the chat now who are going to be like, Nathan has committed a big betrayal now.
I feel so much better.
Timesplitters 2.
It does feel like crime. Like it's crime you're committing. Like,
I was like,
it's got monkeys. Oh, there's a monkey in it. I don't care about the monkey. I can't aim properly because the game's rubbish. Oh, Timesplitters 2.
Dear.
There we go.
Oh dear. What have you done?
This video title was quite tough for me because I take great honour and pride in things that I
Objection, Your Honour. Objection.
Well, I was like, what have I lied? And I was just like, I haven't really, lied about anything. But then I remembered something that we're going back to, like, very young Rosie, like, 6 or so years old. Okay. So we're going to have a fun nostalgia story, boys and girls. It'll be a great time. So when I was young, obviously my brother and I shared my dad's PS1. and, after a while he didn't really play it as often. It just became, my brother and I just played it all the time. But, I was happy, watching my brother play these games. Let's just say Crash Bandicoot 3 for it being a PS1 game. So he was playing Crash 3 and, after a while I'd watch and I'd have fun, but then I wanted to go. And I always said this, I was there, I had a blankie and I was there and I'd always be like, oh, I'm just going to get a glass of water. And what that actually meant was, I'm going to tell Mum that you're hogging the PS1 and I want to go. But I only did this when, I did ask beforehand. I'd be like, oh, can I have a go in a bit? And then he'd say something like, yeah, oh, let me just finish this level. I'm making him sound like a grumpy teenager when he was 8. But he was just like, yeah, let me just finish this level first and then you can have a go. And then he'd finish the level and then, he'd want to do something else. And I didn't like having conflict. So instead, rather than being like, no, it's my turn, we weren't argumentative kids. I just, go downstairs, pretend to get a glass of water, but deep down I'll just be like, Mom, he's not letting me play the game. And then this
is propaganda from the office of Rosie. This is incredible. The worst lie I've ever told was, I'm just going to get some water before telling on your awful, selfish brother.
I like the sinisterness of, I'm just going to get a glass of water.
Did your brother never did he ever cotton on? Oh, that's
yes.
The water line. The water line. That means Mum's going to be in here in a minute and I'm going to get kicked off.
Surely no, Rosie, you're hydrated enough. Please stay, don't go.
Well, I used to drink lots of water. My mum always said, God, you drink a lot of water. That's very good for your skin, she used to say. But eventually my brother caught on, and I remember just the moment where I stopped telling the lie, or I told it a couple of times afterwards, but then I learned that I needed something, I needed to say something else.
I'm just going to the toilet.
When I used to then say, I'm going to get some water, I'll never forget just the moment when he just snapped and just went, no, you're not going to get some water, are you? You're going to tell Mum that I'm playing the game and you want to go, aren't you? And I just remember him just snapping at me as a kid. And then I was just but to prove him wrong, I then got a glass of water and didn't tell Mum. So then I legitimately was just like, no, I just got some water. And then
Kids are amazing.
I tried the lie, I think, 2 times after that. But no, then after that point, I didn't tell that lie anymore. But just because I remember saying it so much as a kid, just, I'm going to get a glass of water, followed shortly by my mum shouting at my brother from the kitchen, James, you've got to let your sister play now. You've played long enough. And, yeah, just the amount of times I told that lie, so when this topic came up and I was thinking about it, I was just that was probably the biggest and longest lie I have told about playing games. So
I want to. It wasn't even your fault, Rosie.
Well, this is my point, Rob. In terms of the work that this story is doing for Rosie's reputation, unbelievable. Rosie, I would like to see you and your brother recreate this scene now as adults. That's what I would like to see.
Yeah, I'll just be like, oh my God. I wouldn't be surprised if Jim still remembers me making this excuse. I said it so many times and he kept on catching on. I would not be surprised. I'm curious now. If I asked him if he remembers it, I'm curious to see if he will. I'm going to do that now after the video.
Get some water. I love that kids can't think of anything better. Like Rob said, could be anything. I'm just going downstairs. I'm going to my room. I'm going to check on the dog. It could be anything.
It would have been a fight in our household, for sure. There would have been it would have been screaming between me and my sister. And there would have been no lie. It would have been, I'm going to tell Mum on you. So my entry is something that has weighed heavy on my heart for 6 years now.
Ooh.
And,
I'm excited.
This isn't a lie I've ever actually explicitly told. It's more an untruth I've allowed to remain uncorrected.
This is a big one. I love this.
And
I'm genuinely excited.
This lie is that. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to say this on the channel.
I'm so excited.
I have never finished Metal Gear Solid 5.
He said it! He's admitted it!
The truth we've known for so long, he's finally said it in the video.
I'm proud of you, Rob.
It's
So proud.
It's the first step.
It's a horrible story. It's my biggest regret ever in gaming. It's just I hate the fact that this has happened. I really do. And the full story is when Metal Gear Solid 5 was coming out. Obviously, we did a bunch of coverage on the channel. I was incredibly excited. I went along to 2 different preview events. And at each preview event, I got to go hands-on with like a big chunk of the game. And so I went to the first preview event and I played the first 10 hours of the game. And I was like, oh my god, it's amazing, this is so great, this is so cool. And then about a month later, there was another preview event with like the full game there. And again, you know, I didn't have, wasn't allowed to carry over the save from the first game or anything because it was on like a special console. So I had to start again, obviously. So I played the first 10 hours of the game again. And then the game actually came out for real. And for the third time, I played attempted to play the first 10 hours of the game. Obviously, as soon as it came out. And then I was like, oh, I've just done this. I've just done this sort of like twice, very recently. So it's probably better if I just leave this maybe a couple of months, because I want to go in, I want to experience this game to the full, as fresh as possible. So I'll leave it a few months because I can't play that opening hospital level again. I can't do the mission where you have to go and save Miller again. Right now. I've done it so many times recently, so I left it a few months. I included Metal Gear Solid 5 in a couple of Friday feature videos. And as can happen in this job, unfortunately, if you don't play a game soon, you've got a high chance that it's going to get spoiled for you. Like, you've got to get the games played quickly. And there was one video I did. It was about like badass characters, I think, and my entry was Big Boss. I was like, Big Boss is an absolute badass, and so I included just Big Boss the character, and I talked about Big Boss in Metal Gear Solid 3, and I talked about him in Metal Gear Solid 5, and I'm not going to reveal the big spoiler now for everyone who still hasn't watched the video. Who still hasn't played the game. Anyone out there who still hasn't played the game. I'm not going to reveal the spoiler now, but in the comments section of that video, just a lot of very heavy endgame spoilers for Metal Gear Solid 5 were revealed.
I remember that week. I remember you just being like, oh.
And I was like, oh,
that's it.
I should have finished this already. I've not finished this yet. And so again, I was like, okay, I know the big endgame spoiler now. I need to leave, and I made the decision, like, I'm going to leave this like a year. I'm going to leave this maybe even longer. I want to go in where there's no discussion, no one's talking about Metal Gear Solid 5. I just want my nice quiet time with it. I know what happens at the end now, but in that subsequent time, like, everything. Like, there's a little kid in the trailers, Eli. I found out who that was. I know everything that happens in Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. I've seen pretty much every cutscene. I've seen all of the boss fights. I've seen the whole game. And I never got to enjoy it or play it how I wanted to. And it's sort of become
this lie has been turned into like...
it's become a mental block now. It's almost like whenever I boot up the game, I just feel sad, and I can't help it. It's like my brain has created like an association between Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain and just feeling a bit sad. So whenever I boot it up, it's like, my heart feels quite heavy, and I just can't play it now. I just can't do it.
The irony as well is that Dave loves it and keeps telling me and you to, I think you'll really enjoy it. I think you'll really enjoy it.
I do. And I love what I've played. Obviously. It's amazing. Like, it's fantastic. It's an amazing sandbox that I've enjoyed the first 10 hours of multiple times. The rest
it's so sad, Rob. It's so sad. It's the game which, out of all of us, it should have been your big crowning Metal Gear moment, and it's been taken away from you because of the work that you've done.
Yeah, I want to be able to enjoy it. I wish I could erase my memory of everything that I know and have experienced with Metal Gear Solid 5.
I wish I could give you this gift, Rob. I think there's something There's something stupid about me. I read that same comment you read and I've just forgotten. I could play it and really enjoy it. Forgotten everything. My mind's like a sieve. Maybe just wait till you get to be 40. It'll just happen naturally.
I thought it would feel good to get that off my chest. It doesn't. Let us know in the comments what video game untruths you've allowed to fester over the years. Give us a like if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you're always up to date with everything from the world of PlayStation.
PlayStation